Welcome everyone to episode 2 of our Satisfactory survival series. Off camera, I've converted all of our wood and leaves into biomass, which should be able to feed our biomass burner now for a very long time. I've also built an additional 2 storage containers to handle all of our rubbish, as well as I've been collecting a bunch of concrete, which will be very important for the first part of today's video. That is because we've just unlocked 2 brand new tiers in the hub. The first thing that caught my eye was the base building, and the reason for that is because we finally get foundations. I'm not really too interested in the lookout tower, and the walls are pretty cool, but it's mostly the foundations that I'm interested in. But when it comes to the resources, we luckily seem to actually have enough. So we've got plenty of concrete, plenty of iron, and plenty of iron rods, because again, I've been grinding all of this off camera luckily. So let's launch our pods, let's chuck that into the atmosphere, and let's skip Ada's messages and watch our pod get launched straight into the atmosphere. Goodbye, Mr. Pods. And just like that, when we go into foundations, yes, there we have it. Our 1 meter, 2 meter, and 4 meter foundations, which I reckon could go quite nicely here. So we're going to probably start off by getting rid of all these leaves. Build out a bunch of foundations, build some constructors, maybe even some assemblers today, which would be good fun, some smelters of course, and we're going to see where time takes us. And it looks like our pod's returning as well, which is fantastic. Something else I'm also interested in is the logistics, where we get splitters, mergers, and the conveyor lift as well. This is going to be very important in regards of having fully efficient factories. Then when it comes to tier 2 of the hub, we have got some pretty cool items in here as well, none of which I'm really that interested in as of right now. But if there was thing I was going to get, it would most likely be the chainsaw. But yeah, like I say, I'm not too fussed about that as of right now. But the best thing about the chainsaw category isn't the actual chainsaw itself, which is also incredible, but it's solid biofuel. This essentially burns a lot slower than biomass, but it does take quite a while to handcraft. And essentially, I want to try and get out of the biomass stage as quickly as possible and move on to coal, since that way we can fully automate anything without personally and manually having to input our biomass. The coal just does it automatically. First of all though, let's clear the area. So I've just spent the last few minutes getting rid of all the bushes that I don't really want, and we got like 15 stacks worth of leaves here and a couple stacks of wood, which is fantastic. I'll convert that into biomass a little bit later on. First, I want to try and actually unlock these logistics, where we should have enough of every single resource. There we go, perfect. Nice. Now, since our last cut, I actually went ahead and placed storage containers that feed into our smelters. But I am actually going to turn off that power. Everything here should then turn off. And now I'm going to get rid of everything. That's because I want to try and move my factory down there, give myself some more room, and most importantly, place down a lot more machines. And just like that, it is now all gone. Now, when I'm actually going to build this foundation, what I'm going to do first is hold down Control. And what that's going to do is snap it to the world grid. I recommend either doing this with a 4 meter foundation or a 2 meter foundation. But for this example, I'm going to do it with a 4 meter foundation. And just like that, we now know that this is facing east, that this is facing north. I don't necessarily know how many of these foundations I want, and also, by the way, hold or press R to select what mode you want. I'm going to select Zoop. So I don't know how many of these foundations I'm going to need just yet. So let's go out by, I suppose, what is that, 6? That should be good enough for now, and then just build that way a little bit. Just like so, we've now got ourselves a pretty decent layout for now. So let's say that I want to try and place my constructor right about there. Again, press H to lock your hologram into position. Have a quick look around. I might even bring it forwards by... In fact, no, that's actually completely fine. We'll leave it there. What I'm then going to do is get my smelter, and then I'm not going to place it directly on top of this, because at some point or another, I'm actually going to have a splitter coming into here, so I want to leave a nice gap. I would say that's probably good enough in all honesty. Then put that into there. The very final thing that I'm going to need for now is when I go down to organization, it's my storage container. So I'm going to chuck you right about there. And then you, I suppose, I will leave a small gap just in case I do want to have another splitter over there as well. So yeah, let's do that. Perfect. Now all I've got to do is just hook these guys up together, just like so, and then assign each one of our smelters and constructors a certain role. So iron's going to be coming in from here, so I'll turn you into iron ingots, obviously. I can't really turn iron into copper, not at this stage of the game at least. and standard parts, I suppose, will make our iron plates for now. Now, the next important thing to do is look at these numbers over here. 30 iron ingots makes 30 iron plates. We come over here. Now, you actually go from 30 into 30, so we are producing 30 iron ingots to there. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so that's fantastic. I don't need to add any sort of mergers or splitters or nothing. You work the way you are. And just for now, I'm going to chuck in a bunch of iron ore there, but eventually we're going to have a miner that will automatically feed the smelter. But yeah, for now we haven't really got that. Now let's go ahead and let's add another 4 constructors. 1, 2, 3, 4. And to be honest, we're going to afford one more out, so let's add another one as I fall off the side there. And in total, that's, I think, 5? Oh no, that's 6 constructors. That's perfect. We then line up our smelters there with our constructors. This is a great start, but nothing here is connected to power, so let's get it hooked up to our power grid, then address our second problem. So in total, all of this is going to end up consuming 44 megawatts worth of power. Yet here we are only making 40 megawatts. So we are most likely going to have to build a couple more of these biomass burners. And you know what, even just tucked away behind our factory over here is a pretty good place for it as well. Especially since now we can feed our biomass burners with a conveyor belt, which makes this part of the game so much easier. And that is perfect. This should massively help us get our power grid up and running. We're already making items in our very first factory. Wow. So you're making iron plates, you're making iron plates, you're going to end up making wire. Now, what I think I'm going to do for you is you're going to end up making iron rods, which means I don't actually need this smelter here. And the reason for that is, again, because you're going to be making our iron ingots. But when it comes to our rods, you only require 15 iron ingots per minute. And you, as we've already established, are making 30. So one of our smelters essentially goes in 2 of our constructors, which is great. And to make this a bit more useful, I'm going to go down to logistics. I'm going to select conveyor splitter. I'm going to chuck you in right there. We'll then select our conveyor belt. Then make sure you press the R button for straight mode. And there we go. So 50% of our ingots goes down there. And 50% goes down here, which makes things so much simpler. We're also making a tiny amount of concrete as well. The next step now is making some storage containers. So all these items that we're producing can just get stored nice and neatly rather than building up and then manually having to collect all of them. And the way that we're going to do this is extremely simple. Organization, storage container, swivel you around, and that is it. Like, literally that is it. Now, because of our new factory, which is looking great, we are now going to need quite a lot more raw resources. So let's make sure to grab all of our iron, all of our copper, and all of our limestone, and continuously feed the machines. Watching all these items being made is great. However, I think I want to try and make a bit more concrete. So let's add in another constructor. Okay, I've added 2. Whoops. You know what? This is a business expense. It's completely fine. This is what we are looking at so far. We have 3 constructors making our concrete, 4 constructors making iron products, but only 1 constructor making copper. Everything here has now been fully operational for a good few minutes, so let's check on how many resources we've made and how much progress we can make on the hub. So I'm going to go ahead and press F on the storage container, then G on the storage container, which now essentially means I can delete the items I'm selecting but nothing else, which is fantastic for trying to see how many items you've got in your storage containers. And we have currently got, wow, 338 concrete, not that much, 750 iron plates, 506 iron rods, and 478 wire. And this is with, like, again, not really that long of these things being activated, so that is absolutely fantastic. Now let's go back to the hub, see what else we can research. So we've got field research, which unlocks the MAM. I don't really care too much about the MAM. Don't care much about the object scanner. That would be quite nice, and of course inventory slots is always welcomed. Tier 2 now, we've got the part assembly, which unlocks the assembler, which is nice. I don't necessarily know if I want that just now. We've then got the chainsaw with the solid biofuel and some more inventory slots. This is pretty tempting if I'm being honest. Jump pads, I don't really care much about. I don't care much about that either, and I definitely don't care much about that as of right now. So I suppose, if anything, the next stage of our automation process is probably going to be fully automating reinforced iron plates. And I think I'm actually going to do a little bit of reorganizing here, because I don't like having our copper directly in between our iron and our other iron. So let me just take a minute to do that. And after a quick couple of changes, this is what we are left with. The iron plates being produced first, then the iron rods, then our wire, then our concrete. This lays everything out nice and neatly for us to expand our factory. Now let's gather all of our resources in here, which are all over the place now, because we are ready to unlock our very first... No, we're not. We haven't got any screws. Damn it! And now we are ready to unlock our very first tier 2 item in the hub, which again will give us the assemblers to be able to make our reinforced iron plates. Chuck that in there, chuck that in there. Okay, a bit more of that. Then you guys in there as well. Fantastic. Let's launch the pods. And that again is another fantastic step in the right direction. Ada. That's another fantastic step in the right direction. Bloody Ada, man. Now, the interesting thing about the assembler is that it actually requires rotors as well, an item we haven't yet made. When we have a look here, it requires iron rods and screws. Screws are made from iron rods, so this shouldn't be too difficult to make either. And our reinforced iron plates also need screws. So essentially, we are going to need quite a lot of screws here, and I'm not producing as many as what I need. So what I might do is either remove one of our constructors or add a new constructor that will then be producing more screws and iron rods. As of right now though, let's prioritize those reinforced iron plates since they are far more valuable for this stage of the game. And here's the assembler in all its glory. Let's check out the reinforced iron plates. So we're going to need 30 iron plates and 60 screws to make our 5 reinforced iron plates. Now, when it comes to our screws, we can make roughly 40 screws from 10 iron rods, and I believe we're making 15 iron rods per constructor, which is 60 screws, so that's completely fine. But when it comes to our iron plates, we are actually making 40 iron plates in total, which is 10 more than what we actually need. So what I could do is make all 40 iron plates go into the assembler, then whatever we have left over, we then just put into another storage container. Regardless, the maths of this is a little bit more complicated, but it is what it is. So let's get rid of you, then place in our first constructor round about there. I'd say is a pretty good place for you. You can still make your iron rods, that's not a problem, but then you actually have to make our screws. Yep, you're now making your 40 screws per minute. That's our screws sorted. And our iron plates are technically already sorted. The next thing to do now is to plop our assembler. For that, I want to try and extend you guys around there a little bit, and then you over there. Then grab you, move you back there a little bit, and make sure that we've definitely got enough to afford a merger, for which we do. So I'm going to chuck you in there. I like chucking everything, apparently. I'm going to chuck that into there. Oh, really? What? How can I not? No, you're okay, I can. I don't know what was going on there. But there we go. Let's select straight mode again. What? Conveyors to sleep. To Steve, not to sleep. There we go. It is going to work eventually. Make sure that's all connected, and just like that, all of our iron plates and all of our screws are now going to go into our assembler to make our reinforced iron plates. I have got no cable left. One thing this is definitely telling me is that we need more iron. And we know for a fact that there is tons of iron nodes around us, so I've come up with a plan. Long story short, we need reinforced iron plates. The main reason as to why I want to get them now is because reinforced iron plates are used for our Mark II conveyor belts. I'm then going to save up hundreds of reinforced iron plates to make these conveyor belts. We'll then get all of these iron nodes that are dotted around here and on the other side, bring them all over to one part of the map, and then we should have essentially hundreds of iron being turned into iron plates and iron rods per minute. So that's our next call of action: build up our iron plates, then expand the factory. That's going to take quite a while to do, so I'll come back when we've made some decent progress. I've also gone ahead and added another assembly line for our reinforced iron plates, just to try and speed up the process. But as we're waiting, let's come back to our hub to see what else we can unlock. Starting with the field research in tier 1. When we get this unlocked, it means that we have fully finished everything in tier 1, which is absolutely fantastic, and we can most certainly afford it. I've been doing quite a lot of off-camera grinding, so let's just send that straight into space. Now, since the last couple of shots I've actually filmed down there, since the last couple of shots that I filmed down there waiting for all of our reinforced iron plates, about 3 hours have passed. That's how I've been able to gather all of these resources here, because I've been doing quite a lot of off-camera grinding. But regardless, let's come back into the hub here for just a moment, and then access tier 2, since again, tier 1 is now fully complete. We can do the obstacle clearing, and in fact I'm very tempted to do this next, but this is what I want to unlock next. 50 reinforced iron plates. 200 concrete, 300 iron rods, and then 300 iron plates. I then want to try and wait until we've got a good few hundred plates stored up. After then, it's time to actually start the second part of today's video, the main part of today's video, which is going to require quite a lot of demolition. Brilliant, our pod's now back. Let's then chuck all these resources into here, just like so, then boop, that's gonna go straight back up, even though the pod's just arrived, but oh well. Ada, now that we're waiting for our pod to return, now's probably a pretty good time to prepare our iron nodes for our miners, which is luckily pretty simple to do. This is where our factory currently is, so the plan is to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 miners, but bear in mind one of them's got a border, so that's only 10 miners here. A lot of which is going to be collecting iron, which is absolutely fantastic. The remainder will most likely be collecting a lot of limestone and a little bit of copper, but this will be fantastic, especially for a starter factory. So we've got a lot of work to get done, and work is my middle name. Well, actually no, my middle name's James, but that's not quite as exciting. Nice, our pod's back. Let's unlock some more stuff in the hub. Feels like everything's happening all at once now, but now let's go for the resource sync bonus program, because it's the one that I can afford in regards to my resources. I haven't got enough screws and fortune. I can't even afford it. Sound. It's actually a bit concerning. I'm completely out of iron plates. So I'm probably going to disconnect this, then disconnect that, then turn you into iron plates, which means I won't be able to produce as many reinforced iron plates, but that's kind of okay, because iron plates is far more important. Okay, luckily I've got a few in there. No matter what stage of the game you're in, you have to remember the most important items that you are ever going to use is iron rods and iron plates. Sure, reinforced iron plates are fantastic, but I'd rather have some iron plates and iron rods at this stage of the game. Luckily, that's not too much of a problem. Then let's shoot that into the sky, and that's another part of our hub done. Ada, don't even start. And now we've got our personal storage boxes. So hello to you, and goodbye to you. Yeah, that should be enough. And would you look at that, after a couple hours of grinding, we can now see we have over 500 reinforced iron plates. So it is time to remove our starter factory and upgrade to something a little bit better that will be able to produce thousands, well maybe not thousands, but at least a couple dozen resources per minute. Yeah, I was getting a bit too far ahead of myself there. So the plan of action is we are going to get every single node that's nearby over there, including our iron nodes from that direction as well. And we are going to be facing everything in this direction. So essentially flipping our factory around. Because as you can see, this way we can't really fit too many machines in. But again, if I was to rotate everything around 90 degrees, we can get far more machines in. Oh, hello, pods. That's a good timing of you to land as I'm in the middle of a demonstration of what we're doing next. But either way, that's also going to be rather important. I'm not going to move my hub as of right now, but in the future we most likely are. Now again, just behind that tree right there, which is in the worst possible angle from this camera, but that's where we are producing all of our power from our biomass burners. That might move, I'm not quite sure yet. And also let's not forget our limestone, which will be playing a crucial role in our factory. So there's only one thing left to do now, and that's to get rid of everything. And we can also assess the damage on our biomass burners. How much biomass have we consumed? Is that it? What? I've got all 4 of these things operational and that's all we've consumed. In all fairness, I did have to refill it a bit earlier on. I think it was about 4 stacks. But still, only 8 stacks of biomass to run that factory producing 500 reinforced iron plates and God knows what else. Damn, that's actually really good. You could never have too much biomass, so I'll probably be crafting a bit more at the end of today's episode. So, step 1, get rid of everything here on top of the foundation. Just like that, and oh, there goes half our factory. How many raw resources did I collect? Oh, bloody hell. Oh, this is where all these storage boxes come in, and by the way, yes, I have got a bit of a problem with personal storage boxes. I use them way too much, so if you don't like the look of personal storage boxes, all I can do in advance is just apologize because I use them too much. You know what? We have got absolutely loads of these raw resources, and I don't want to destroy them because they're relatively valuable at this stage of the game. So I might even build a couple smelters here in the back and a couple constructors, and then just let them feed through the system. This way I'm still getting resources from it, and it's not really taking up too much room. And that looks absolutely ghastly, but it's fine because we're producing iron plates and wire essentially for free is how I'm going to look at this, so I'll take it. However, back to the main problem at hand now. And now that is what I call good progress. We have been able to place down hundreds of foundations which are perfect for the factory I want to try and build. But there is very obviously a problem. Trees. Everywhere. Trees. And the plan is to actually try and build some stuff up here, and I don't really like the way that the trees are sort of blocking everything. So I think they need to go. Not all of them, like these trees over here, they're not really hurting anyone. But other trees, well, they're hurting my brain cells, and I've only got about 5 of them left. So let's see how much it's going to cost us to actually unlock the obstacle clearing. 500 screws, 100 cable, then 100 concrete. Can I afford that? Well, I can definitely afford the concrete. There we go, just like that. Send it into space. Fantastic. There goes our pods. Now, the next thing that I want to try and oh my god. Now, the next thing I want to try and figure out, oh, brilliant, is how much the chainsaw costs. And we can already afford it, so let's definitely make sure to craft that. But for everyone at home, that is 5 reinforced iron plates, 25 iron rods, 160 screws, and 15 cable, as our pod goes flying straight into space. Absolutely fantastic. So now that we've got our chainsaw, and again, it's green, by the way. So it seems like everything personnel-wise is painted green. Okay, that's something interesting to note. Like I was saying, at the very bottom left of the screen, you can see this thing actually requires solid biofuel, not biofuel, but it's made from biofuel. So let's just handcraft a bunch of this stuff. And by the way, this takes absolutely ages to handcraft, especially when you're trying to make thousands of it. So we'll definitely make sure to be automating this thing maybe in tomorrow's episode, since it's quite a lot to do today. And there we go, 32 should be absolutely fine. Now all I've got to do is find our target, find a tree, and then just tear it down. Wait, what? Wait, what? Trees do that now? No, wait, trees used to never have any sort of animation. They used to just disappear, but now they've got a falling animation? No, unless that was a bug. That can't have been a bug. Let me try and find another tree. You have got to be kidding me. No way. Oh, that's incredible. That's going to lag my PC to crazy. Oh, look at that. Timber. Hopefully that didn't kill our lizard doggo friend. I don't think so. I am in love with this. I already enjoyed chopping down trees in this game before, but now... Ooh, our pod's back. I'm a little bit preoccupied, though, to be dealing with our pods. And of course, we've now got the single chainsaw mode. So before this, if I was to try and get rid of this tree right here, this tree would most certainly fall down, and I don't really want it to. But now all you have to do is press R. Now we've got single mode selected, and hopefully that tree should fall down. Well, yeah, that tree should obviously fall down. Jesus. And this tree shouldn't. Fantastic. Okay. Again, another quality of life change that they didn't really have to add. I want to get rid of you. Actually, no, I don't. But they did add it anyway, and from what I can tell, people quite like it. And that's what happens when developers actually listen to their community. You get good quality of life features, not random stuff that nobody cares about and nobody wants. This is mega satisfying, I must be honest. Oh no, I chopped down that one. No. Now things are starting to look far better. There is one more thing I want to try and show you though before we build our main factory. That is our biomass burners. I have changed their colors from the regular orange to their more grey with a little hint of blue. I think this will stick out quite nicely, especially when we've got like 100 machines all going at once. So do let me know in the comments down below, or what do you think of the color scheme? Normally I would go for a grey and yellow, but I did that last series and I don't want to be repeating myself. Oh, hello lizard doggo. Have you managed to give a... Oh, you've actually found something? Good boy, well done. I want this little thing over here, which is like our little pathway. I suppose I want this to end there for now. Then sort of just go around this main grassy bit. This is most certainly going to move in the future. And that's completely fine. Let me just put that there for now. Lovely. So you are going to come round to this side. I believe that you're producing 120 copper per minute because you're a pure node. Yes, 120 per minute. And because we're making wire, which if I remember correctly requires 15 copper per minute, which means that we can have 2 smelters, 4 constructors. Okay. So let's just test this out. Let's place down 4 of our constructors here. I can't afford them. So here are the 4 constructors that we need. And yeah, I absolutely love the color scheme on these things. Then set them all to wire. And because we're making 120 wire, and a Mark II conveyor belt can handle 120 resources per minute, I think it's only logical that we merge them all together. But then make sure to connect you into one of them. Then there we go. You guys should all be powered on now. Fantastic. The next thing to do is now to make our 2 smelters. One there, and then one there. Zoop you to there. Add our splitter somewhere in the middle, just like that. It doesn't have to be directly in the middle, and that's completely fine. Then make sure that our conveyor belt connects to that one. Do the exact same thing again on this side. Again, add our splitter somewhere roughly in the middle. Connect our conveyor belt into the constructor. And that is absolutely fantastic. Let's make sure that you guys are definitely producing copper ingots, since again we've got copper coming in here. And the last thing that I've really got to do in this location is to add a splitter. Now, I don't particularly want our conveyor belts to be running directly on top of our pathway, so I've added a couple of conveyor lifts that just make it look a little bit nicer. All I've got to do now is connect you to there, and then paint you, because you can't remain orange, how dare you. And then there we go. It will take a few moments for everything here to be fully operational, but essentially you've now made a fully operational and fully functional factory, if you are following along at home. If not, then we've made a fully functional factory. So having all of this wire is fantastic, but if I'm honest, I also need cable. So let's extend our little pathway around there. And now would you look at that, a new plot has opened up. I think what we're going to end up doing here is probably placing either 1, maybe 2... we'll go 1. Yeah, we'll do 2. We'll do 2 constructors right there, like so. The only problem now being, if I was to do that, you require 60 wire. Right, so if I do that, then we're going to have a total of 0 wire left over, which I don't necessarily want. So I think what we're going to do is, reduce that again. Then add a splitter here, followed by 2 storage containers. We're then going to grab you, make sure that we got the straight mode enabled, then essentially just drag you around there. What this is now going to mean, also by the way, I should be upgrading all these conveyor belts, because of course we're dealing with 120 resources here, so we have to have a Mark II. But essentially what this is now going to do is that 60 wire is going to continue down there, and 60 wire is now going to come over here to make our cable. You are essentially then going to loop around here. We'll make it nice, long, and dramatic, until eventually I'll then place another storage container on top of this slot. It probably sounds a lot more complicated than what it actually is, so let me just do it. And there we have it. The reason as to why I've made the cable a little bit longer than what one might normally do is purely because I just love watching everything being fully automated. I mean, I could probably just watch this for hours if I didn't have other things to do. So now because we've completed this, it means that we are producing 30 cable per minute and 60 wire per minute. Not too bad. But that is only 1 node, and we still have 10 more nodes to go through. I've just realized we are dealing with 120 copper, but one of these smelters can only handle 30, which means I actually technically need a few more smelters here. But for this stage of the game, that's completely over the top, and no one in their right mind would want to have that much. I did it anyway, but you know what? I actually quite like the way it looked, and yes, I have added an outpost tower. It was about time. I mean, I love the way they look, so I thought it would look pretty nice here as well. Although I'm most likely going to add an awesome sink in that exact position, since I believe we can most likely fit one in that slot. So in total now, that's 120 wire being produced and 60 cable being produced per minute, which I think is fantastic for this stage of the game. Regardless, that's just about going to do it for today. We managed to get a lot of progress done, but tomorrow we have a lot more progress to do as well. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Feel free to drop a like, subscribe, and support the channel if you guys did enjoy it. And let me know in the comments down below, would you like a part 3? Without further ado, thank you for watching, and goodbye.